Welcome, Sneeples, to another way too early tier list. Heavy Hitters is not even officially out yet, but we do have all the spoiled cards. There has been a bit of time to marinate with them. So we are going to make a tier list, and you guys know me, but I'm here this time with Easton Douglas. You might know him as being in the top 8 at Worlds, piloting a tree fog dash or an item dash, but at least a very defensive dash. One way
Slab
or the other.
dash, yes.
Yeah, okay, there you go, perfect. Dash has so many names nowadays, anyhow. But yeah, and then I got the pleasure to face Easton at the coasting event, down to the final where we had a awesome Starbow here. So
Rhinefest, that was.
it was a grind fest, and it was really fun. So
Yeah.
I thought, who better than to bring on over to do some tier lists with me. So are you ready to do this?
Yeah, I can think of a few better people, but you have me. Hopefully that's good enough.
There you go. Yeah, that'll work. Okay.
Now, I'm just seeing this tier list for the first time, but I'm gonna have to have you tell me the difference between C and F here. Are you telling me that there are heroes that are so bad that people who are playing at their kitchen table can't even play with them? Like, that's
too.
crazy.
I know. I literally thought about that as I was putting it on. I was like, I gotta have an F tier, but like, how does it get
Too
worse?
bad for the kitchen table? I thought that was the floor.
I mean, no, it's above the floor.
It's like bad and also unfun to play against. That would be the differentiator, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that'd be a good way.
Yeah.
Like maybe like play it in the kitchen table, but like you expect your big brother to always still beat you or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So this is in no order, as you could probably tell. So let's just get going from the first one, which is an interesting one. We got Arachne. We got to see Arachne have some success when Lexi and Icelander LL, but I don't know how they got a new card, the coercion, the one that like lets them draw or lets them get go again, to get their attacks get go again.
Yeah. 2 new cards too, right? Because they also have the dagger that comes from the discard pile.
That is true. I'm not huge on that dagger, but that is true.
Yeah.
That is a card.
Yeah.
I kind of think C plus B minus. If the format gets like we saw Arachne have success with a slow format, so if the format is being slow, I could see Arachne have it, but I don't know if that's gonna be the case.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Although I will say that Guardians are a pretty tough matchup for Arachne, and I feel like when we get to Bravo, he's still going to be pretty high up on this list. And
Yeah.
there's murmurings of like Victor as well, or so I mean there are some other kind of Guardians to be worrying about. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not big on the assassin class. I think where you have it hovering is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
He also banishes cards from your opponent's deck, so maybe even F because it's unfun to play against. No, I'm kidding. I think C is fine, but yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I'm okay with C. Arachne has a following, and honestly, this could be just like the cult heroes basically. So,
Yeah.
And Arachne has its own local. So
The big thing is that like there's just really not a good reason to ever play Arachne over Azuri. There's not some sort of like specialization or.
there is.
what?
There's one. It's Regicide, and with how many drum mines were being royal, maybe you're.
Does that work?
It does. It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
can get Regicide to hit, which by the way, Dromai with their burn them all banishes her own cards, so it makes Regicide even better. So it's very sneaky, very very sneaky.
Yeah.
It's probably
Does
it.
Dromai just not run that card in that matchup, or like out of fear of that, or? I mean,
No,
this is like a very French matchup, but.
Yeah, I
wonder.
think you still got to do it because Tome is so good.
Yeah. But that's a really interesting decision point. Now it's not just like one of the ones that I don't want to bring back with Remembrance. It's one of the ones that I am going to be most likely to block with at this stage, at this junction when they can have this.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to a bit more competitive hero. We got Azalea here. I'll let you lead on this one. How are you feeling with Azalea?
Yeah. I don't know. Early inklings in the format tell me that maybe it's going to be kind of D-react heavy, kind of 3-block heavy.
Sure.
So I think in that way it can be a little tough. Uh, but I think that she has one of the strongest card pools now, and just like engines
Yeah.
of any of the heroes, kind of still legal. So yeah, I think she's right up there. I think putting her in A is a pretty decent starting point, and
I like that.
I don't know, depending on how this tier list
We'll move things around if we have to.
yeah shapes up, maybe even S tier. I don't know. I tend to
Some
think somewhere in the A
love.
range. But,
Well, she did get a new card. She did get that
well,
legendary card. It's only one of, but with
I am.
okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I'm biased because I am teammates with Levi Rauch, who
Yeah.
is the Azalea goat. So in
Right.
my mind, she's always really strong because
That's
that's who
fair.
I'm playtesting against. Continue what you were saying. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fair. I like that tidbit because yeah, Levi is the Azalea goat.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I'm sure that would make sense.
Levi S tier, Azalea A
Right,
tier.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying she did get that new specialization, and it's just a one-of because it's legendary. But the way that she plays, Brody Spurlock was playing a lot of Memorial Grounds. I could see that, especially with that specialization being a thing. Making a reappearance in like all Azalea decks, maybe, just to ensure that you get that aim counter sort of deal with the dominate. But I think A tier is pretty damn solid for her.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, she's a good hero to have one-ofs too,
Yeah.
As long as they're arrows, she makes good use of one-ofs.
Definitely. All right. Well, next one is, we got some easy ones now. I think we're gonna get a hard one just because it's the unknown. We got Betsy here.
Yeah.
I was kind of hovering where I think these guys were. I don't know on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's interesting. I think what I'm curious about with Betsy, I think her headpiece makes her more viable, just because now, as long as you have a gold, you can give any attack wager, which then allows you to have her ability to give the overpower. Overpower, obviously not as strong in CC. So I don't know. I kind of think I'm more leaning towards the kitchen table.
Yeah.
But I'm probably pretty conservative, with a lot of my rankings. I could even see her being in the fringe,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
Conservative, generous. I don't know. It could go either way. I think she's perfect for where you're hovering right now.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna spend this whole time shouting out my teammates. Sorry, Matt McLeod, who's been playing a lot of Betsy, and he's been having a lot of fun with her. Sorry, I just don't think that she's really it. There's just again. I mean, I think of her in comparison to something like Bravo. Like, what is pulling you to her instead of Bravo? It's a similar card pool, and the big thing that she has over Bravo is her specialization, which is like basically like 4 mana, 8 damage, and then has text that's basically like a trap, because and if you can trigger her hero power and make it overpower and confirm that you're actually going to get that hit, then it can be quite strong. But I mean, that's a huge risk if they even have a chance of blocking that out. So it's not even like a slam dunk specialization like Bravo or even Victor has. So
yeah, it seems like yes, she can play like Command and Conquer better than the other Guardians. And so maybe you can kind of view that as her specialization, because if she can give that Command and Conquer wager, then she can really pop that one off. But it's when you're talking about specializations, and then you look at like the many specializations Bravo has, it's like they fall short. They fall short.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah,
cool hero though.
Yeah, very cool hero. I actually think she's probably going to be like, if this was limited for the 6 heroes, I kind of have her here, maybe even here. I think she's going to do very well limited. Okay.
Yeah, haven't looked at limited at all, so don't ask me any questions about that, please. I'll show my ignorance pretty quickly.
Oh good. Let's move on to Bolton. This is boy, I used to be a Bolton main back in the combo days. Played Bolton in Pro Tour 1. But yeah, I just have been off him so much. I really don't know where he lies. I know he's been having success as of late. We saw Yuki Lee do very well, as well as Roger Bodie. So I imagine he's here. But I don't know personally. What's your
Yeah.
experience with Bolton?
Ooh, precious little.
Yeah.
I don't really have any experience with him. So I'm leaning on you for this one. I mean, my gut check would be B tier.
Okay.
But
I mean,
that I think that has some holdover disrespect from the time when he really was,
right.
in the F. So yeah, I guess the question to you is like, you had experience with this, given like the struggles he had before. Do you think all these new cards they printed really like fixes problems? Because you can create tools left and right for these cards, but
Sure.
unless it's actually fixing fundamental core problems that the hero has, it's not going to move the needle. So, do you
Hmm.
think that the cards they've made really do that?
I think they do that for Raiden.
Okay.
For the Raiden builds, they seem
Yeah.
to be. It seems to be like it's no longer the only way you play Bolton is combo Bolton. In fact, that might actually be the minority at this point. I think you can still hybrid, but it seems I'm kind of curious if he is like a symptom of the meta, where the reason why he's good now is just because where the meta is, and there's not a better aggressive hero. And I think we are going to get a better aggressive hero. So I don't know if that just kind of puts him down to B. I do think if he's an A, he's A minus, and if he's in B, he's B plus. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're kind of here.
I mean, a
I'll
couple of things with him.
Okay, yeah.
He's gonna. I mean, we're gonna find out, right? Because Ice is gone, and so
Hmm.
people have been kind of saying for a long time that Ice is the reason why he's not really doing better.
Might
So
be the
it's finally
case.
gone. Like he's lost his unwinnable matchup in Icelander.
Sure.
So we're gonna find out, and he has a lot of kind of press.
Yeah.
So like he's whatever we say here, like we'll see pretty quickly if he's
Well,
gonna be able to
hey, this
contest.
is a way too early tier list, so it's way too
Yeah,
early.
yeah. I
That's
don't
the
need a
theme.
caveat then. The other thing, and we'll bring this up now because we'll get to Kasai later, is people will start to cut attack actions that could be non-attack actions in their deck. They're gonna in some of
Sure.
those flex slots, they're gonna start doing that. So
That is
once
very
people
true.
learn how to play against him, and once people start teching for him a little bit, because now there's this added incentive of simultaneously teching against Kasai, then you could see him going down a tier as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty good to know. Yeah, because that would be in that same realm. So yeah, he instead of him being a symptom of the meta, it might just be the meta being the symptom for him. I could totally see that.
Yeah,
All right, I'm excited for this one just because I feel pretty good about this. This is like
yeah,
the only one I feel really good about putting here. Um,
yeah.
and you know what? It's not even like S tier of pass, where it's like, yeah, that's the one. Like that's the hero that all the pros are going to be playing. I mean, and that is right now for sure. But he does. I don't know. For me, he doesn't have that same feeling like Fi did, like Icelander did, like Prism did, or like it just. He feels like he just has the best spread, and that's why he's
Yeah.
up there. But I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I mean, he's really proven himself time and time again. Basically, as soon as Oldhim left the format, he's been a mainstay. He's been up there. Internally we've seen a lot of just kind of data that would lend us to believe that he's one of the kind of best win percentage heroes against the
Right.
field. Um, and I think that I think one thing that benefits him, and we're making this tier list for the next event basically, or the next couple of events, because things will change. The
Yeah.
format's big enough, things will shift. But in the early days of this format, I think that he benefits a lot from being kind of inflexible in how you build him. Like he's been a solve deck for a while.
It's
You have a
true.
handful of flex slots, but really not much at all, which means that he's figured out. And a lot of these other heroes are not figured out right now. And so while people are kind of scrambling, trying to find the powerful things to do, people who decide to just lean on the existing power that he has are going to, I think, benefit from that.
I think you're right. I think he's going to have the most success. Like we got the first CC event will be Battle Hardened Hartford, and it would surprise no one if Bravo got there on that, just
Yeah,
because. Yeah, like you said, like he is figured out. I don't even think he got really anything from this new set. I think he was already fine, So
yeah, yeah.
I think he's gonna be
He got
okay.
another blue six.
That's yeah. There you go. That's what he got. Okay. We got Dash. Dash is interesting. I'm gonna let you lead on this one because as mentioned before, this is your top 8 deck here.
Yeah.
Where do you put the old dash, the OG dash?
Yeah, I think I would put her in S tier,
Okay.
personally. But I think A is also reasonable.
Yeah.
I think that a couple things. First of all, uh, the she has a very adaptable card pool.
That's true.
Anywhere from the most aggressive, highest damage output, consistent aggro deck in the game, to the most tanky, like has the trump card in control mirrors, and everywhere in between. You can have the hybrid list, whatever. So whatever questions the format's asking, I think Dash usually has the potential to answer those questions, at least to the tune of being a very solid tier 2 deck, if not better. Um, and I think that as we're looking at kind of these maybe slower decks like these Warriors and these Guardians, I don't want to oversell the heavy hitters, kind of totally warping the metagame, although I do think they will a little bit. We're still going to see all sorts of different heroes, but I think those kind of matchups, Guardian Warrior, those are really good for Slab Dash, for Tank Dash, whatever you want to call it. And again, the aggro Dash lists are also just very, very, very strong. So I think it's versatile. I think it's adaptable. I think it'll find a home.
Yeah, I
In the
mean,
meta.
she really had the most to gain from the previous set, and yeah, it really proved it that there. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, you really don't when you sit across a dash, you don't necessarily know what dash you're gonna see, which is always to her benefit there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with putting her here. I mean, to me, it's definitely like S tier or A plus, but it's hard. It's hard for me to disagree because like she has a great matchup if she's playing any sort of like pistol control or just life gain or whatever. She has a great matchup into what's probably going to be one of the most played heroes.
Yeah.
So you gotta respect her for that. Now I'm curious, if with this heavy hitter set, I'm guessing we're thinking more of a less of a boost happy dash and more of a pistol dash. Is that where you would think?
Yeah, I would say some sort of hybrid list, like the old style hybrid dash list, or something like the list I played at Worlds. One of those two is where I'd expect it to land. Because I think there will be people trying to do like fatigue strategies, and there's still going to be some amount of kind of aggressive decks. Ninjas, we'll get to them later. Katsu got a new card that looks exciting. So yeah, I think mid range is looking pretty good. I think tank is looking pretty good.
All right. All right. Well, just so happens the other dash is next. I love Pain, I guess, because I always tend to play heroes that start with less than 40 life. And I played Dash IO.
Yeah.
And I am scared to play this deck into this meta.
To people that block.
Yeah, exactly. I think, she had her stint, but she was quickly figured out that all you had to do was just full on block, and more than likely you'll be okay. And then when we're looking at even old G Dash, she could block very well too. So when we're looking at these two heroes, I mean, this is scary. I mean, could she get something? Can she be competitive? Yes, I think that's why I'll keep her in B tier, but I don't see her really coming up to the A or S tier.
Yeah, I think Fringe is perfect. So just kind of a thing for people to think about, some of the strongest aggro decks in the history of this game have struggled themselves into fatigue strategies. And that is just and this hero is not one of the best aggressive decks we've ever seen, and boosts away like a third of its deck. So just on that alone, you can kind of see the struggles it might have. Now, I'm not saying that you can't overcome it, and there are certainly decks that can go over fatigue, thank goodness. But I just don't think that it's her, and I think you need a certain level of threshold of kind of defense. And then once you kind of reach that, then it's very hard to lose against Dash.io.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100%. All right, next up is Dorinthia. She surely has gotten some things in this new set.
Yeah,
there's a few things.
She's my girl.
Yeah. But I don't have much play on Dorinthia. I have played her and I know how to play against her. But as far as if it should be a Dory Axe build coming out of this set, or if it should go back to Dawnblade. I don't know. Do you have any knowledge on Dory here?
Yeah, she's one of my mains actually.
Let's go. All right, I'll let you lead off.
Yeah. So basically, as soon as, and I was an Oldhim guy, but as soon as Oldhim left the format, I got excited about Dorinthia because I think that matchup is, unwinnable from Dorinthia's side. I mean, you just have to hope that your Oldhim opponent is not very doesn't understand the matchup.
It doesn't use the shield.
doesn't use his hero power and cards to So but Dorinthia, so when Oldhim left, I felt like that was her only like true unlosable matchup. Maybe in the past it was Prism as well, but so I wanted to learn her, so that's the time I kind of picked her up, and I played her quite a lot for a while. She was a contender going into Worlds for me, and she's always kind of there on the cusp. I mean, I think she's been like around like the 5th or 6th best deck for a while, like silently, not getting a lot of press. She's had a lot of bubble finishes. A lot of people in the 9th through 16th range just can't quite convert with her. All that to say, I think she got quite a lot of upgrades. I don't know if this format is shaping up to be perfect for her. Again, a lot of 3 blocks and D reacts, which is not great. I would put her at the bottom of A right now.
Okay.
So I am working on deck lists with her, and I'm excited about some of the things that she can do. I think the new chess piece is really, really strong and competes with some of the other chess pieces in the game. But yeah, still has some problems.
Okay. Is there a card that's coming out in heavy other than like the chess piece that you're very excited for Dory?
Yeah, I mean, chess piece is the big one because that's a whole different engine that you can start to work on. And it triggers for both of her Dawnblade hits too, so you can really change the configuration of your deck a lot. The other thing, I won't name single cards because honestly, she got a lot of tools, and a lot of them are kind of like lateral upgrades, or not upgrades, lateral, like they're similar in power level to what she was doing before, just a little different. But I would say the existence of agility tokens. That's the big one because that totally changes the dynamic as well. You used to have a whole card to get the go again every single turn, and now the ability to start your turn with go again or start your turn with the resources from the chess piece, it totally changes how much she can block with and still present a big hand, or if she keeps five cards and has those resources, how much she can really do. So that's a big kind of difference for her.
That makes sense. Agility is going to be big. Yeah, that's a good take on that. I didn't kind of think about that. So I'm guessing with agility, and you kind of said it before, or you kind of mentioned it, it's probably Dawnblade over the Axe. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's like Dash, I guess. You kind of just adjust to whatever meta there is to make it work.
Yeah, that's true. Although, I'm on the record saying I'm not a fan of the Axe. Dory, the reason to play Dory, I'm basically choosing Dawnblade as my hero. I just love that weapon, and it's so powerful. And I don't see a big reason to try to play her if not for the powerful Dawnblade.
That is fair. Honestly, I get it. When Oldhim lost the hammer, it was hard to play Oldhim after that.
I put him down. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. Yeah.
Not the same.
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay. Next up is Dromai. I might have a hot take here on Dromai. We'll see if you agree or disagree, but I think she's fallen off. I think that she had some good matchups that are no longer here. I think Bravo can take her just fine. I think any good Bravo player can beat any good Dromai player. Even with going more aggro Dromai or more big dragon Dromai, I think you can manage to get there. Sure, maybe Dromai can have some good matchups in Dash, but I even think with Dash, with how many poppers Dash got from Bright Lights, I think you're fine. And so I don't see a particular matchup with Dromai that I'm about. I don't think she's kitchen table or anything. I think she's fringe. It wouldn't surprise me if I see her in top 8, but I don't know if she's going to be, the consistent top 8 that we once saw with Dromai. That's
Yeah,
my hot
yeah.
take.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. I'm not an illusionist guy, so don't expect any kind of insights from me there. Although I will say that I think that she was already kind of falling off a
She kind
little
of
bit in
was, yeah.
popularity, and she didn't really get anything from this new set. So
Yeah.
the meta needs to really shift in a way that's good for her in order for her to move up. Otherwise, I think she does move down a bit. So
Yeah.
I would probably put her at A minus, but I think top of B is probably a good spot for her as well.
Okay. I mean, if you're a Dory main, yeah, she's gonna look very hard.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup actually.
Yeah. It's funny. I've heard it on both sides. I've heard it Dory's or saying
one of
like,
those.
"Oh, I don't
Yep.
lose," and then Droma is like, "I don't lose." Someone asked.
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I will probably be your only reasonable take, which is I think that it's one of those matchups where you get the sense where if I'm Dory and I'm playing the matchup, I feel like I have the advantage and vice versa. But I think I can take myself out of that enough to realize that I think it's just very, very skill dependent. I think you need to get quite a lot of games with some of the best pilots on both heroes, and even like various lists and various pilots to really get a sense for who is king in that matchup. I think it's what strategy you bring to the table and how you enact it. That really matters.
Yeah, that's pretty fair take.
Yep.
Okay, I guess we're sticking with Uprising. Moving on to the other hero, we got Fi, winner of Worlds. I was almost for certain that we would see like a ninja like boom after that. But like for like the battle harns that came afterwards, I think there's a like Katsu. We saw some Katsu, but not so much on the Fi, which makes me wonder. I don't know. I guess like I'm still in the Uprising meta where like he just kind of came and made immediate impact, so I like want to put him here, but I don't even know if that's the right take. Maybe he's with Dromai. I'm not sure. I feel like here, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he might have been eclipsed by Kasai, just in terms of just like easy aggressive deck to pilot. I think I think somewhere same range as Dromai, I feel. The reason I think that he did kind of surge a little bit, but then very quickly got kind of put down because I don't think he makes for a very good best deck. So when the spotlight is on him, I don't think he performs very well. I think that's true with most heroes, which is it really is good for the game. I don't think there's one hero that just like right now is just so dominant that you can't even cobble together a strategy to combat it. It's still very consistent. I think it's a decent early pick, but as the meta evolves, I wouldn't be surprised if if it kind of falls off.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, when we look at new metas, typically the aggro decks are the first ones to take it, and then the meta kind of shifts accordingly afterwards. So maybe the aggro deck, but like even into Bravo, it's not even as good as it once was.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over here to Kano here. I face Kano a lot. I got Peter Bunisic as my local, so I face his Kano.
He's a pretty good Kano.
He's a good Kano. I have been playing with Majin Bay, who's also a Kano guy. So I might be some bias here, but like kind of like you with Levi, I feel like Kano is A tier. The problem I have with Kano though is, and kind of why I don't like playing a hero, is just because I feel like Kano can still, even if it's like a good meta for him, could still just lose to himself. And I hate that feeling. So like I have reserves on putting him up here, but like if I look at the matchup spread, like there's none of these heroes I'm really all too worried about as Kano. And that's why like I feel like I have to put him here in A tier. But what's your take? Everyone has some Kano experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's just as reasonable as shifting up or down a few slots. I think that the meta's big enough and there's enough different things going on that you need to have answers to that I could see people shaving on their tech against Kano. I could definitely see that. He's definitely like a pick him for the right weekend kind of a deck.
Definitely.
And also you got to get a little lucky. But I think if you go into a tournament with eyes wide open about his limitations. I think that kind of on the balance, if you ran the same tournament 100 times,
Yeah.
he's gonna fall somewhere in this range. It's just sometimes he'll go 0-3, and there's nothing you could do. But that doesn't necessarily make him not A tier. It just makes him a very inconsistent hero. Personally,
Yeah.
not for me. I take the consistent heroes and I try to make them even more consistent than other people have. That's my strategy, has always been, probably always will be. So not for me, but also has merits.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into Katsu. Katsu's interesting. I think you mentioned that he got a new piece. I'm gonna let you lead off on this one.
Yeah, also not a Katsu guy, more a Phi guy than Katsu, but I tend to think that Katsu might perform a little better. I think he's kind of towards the bottom of A tier.
Okay.
I think he was already starting to pick up in popularity,
Sure.
and he's one of those heroes that's secretly gotten a lot of pretty strong printings that have benefited him, and I think that this most recent one could be the final one to kind of push him over the edge and really be
Really?
a strong contender. Yeah, I think he's quite strong. I don't know how to pilot him. I've tried a few times. Every hand looks like a pile, like an
I
actual
know
pile.
what you mean. Yeah.
He can be weak into too much defense,
Yeah.
but the Kodachis is a nice kind of counter strategy against that, where you can leak a lot. So very skill dependent,
Kind
and
of luck dependent
requires.
too.
Yeah,
A little bit.
and I think he does get worse when people block better. Um, Whether or not Fab players in general block well, I'll leave that up to the viewers to decide. But that is kind of his weakness. Same with Dory, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Definitely a story. I think like Bonds of Ancestry is just a broken card, and if we ever see Katsu here, we will hear for the banning of that card. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that card is just insane. So, but and we have, like you said, he has been making a surgeons. So I think he's like super solid A. I'm curious. I would like to see him get a little bit bump. I think it'd be cool to get a different ninja other than Phi up here. But I guess I don't know if that card does enough. I know you like it, but I'm wondering, like, it feels like Katsu already plays breakpoints. And so, like, adding +1, I guess it allows you to play maybe some other cards that weren't a breakpoint, and now they would be. But
Yeah.
I'm still suspicious of it.
Yeah, again, it's the incremental thing, right? He was already seeing success. I mean, this is definitely better than his worst blue
That is a
block
good point.
zero cost, And so
Yeah.
it's definitely an upgrade, and it has the potential of creating some turns that are, because when you think about it, it's a blue that if you hit off the top, you go even on cards, right?
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you're getting the +1. So this is kind of a card that can be kind of like a zero card X, where X is the number of attacks you pump, right? Because it replaces itself, so it doesn't cost you a card. You have to hit, so there's some deck building requirements. I don't know. It's definitely like, that's a
Your
powerful
dex
blue.
combo, you probably hit.
Yeah, and I mean the turns where you are playing it, probably it's like if you miss, it's like, well, my hand kind of sucked either way or whatever.
Sure.
And you can also maybe do some pitch stack stuff. I guess that's not really reasonable with Katsu. You shuffle too much.
Right, yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a cool card.
I
Let's
think
see
you're
what it
right.
does.
I think when you said it's better than his worst blow, I was like, yeah, wait, no, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Kasai. All right, I'm gonna let you lead with this one again because you are the warrior player, or you're a Dory player, but you know warrior. I have a hot take on this, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Okay. I have no reps with her yet. I
Right.
have some teammates that have done some games with her and got some reports back to her about that. I've seen her and how she performs in Blitz, so I kind of have that I'm working off of. But I mean, I still feel pretty blind. But I'm gonna say that I think she might be a better Phi in this new format. I think she might be just slightly better than where Phi's at. So yeah, just that kind of that bubble between the top of B and the back of A. I think that's where she lives. I think that she might struggle against blocky decks, just kind of running out of really good power cards. She's one of those decks that you kind of have these engine cards, like the what's it called, the thing that gives go again and plus to the next attack.
Oh, Blade
She has like
Runners,
those cards, and she'll get down to the blues and the yellows and stuff like that. But I think once she gets past her first kind of bursty thing going on, she's gonna start to run out of her consistency, have more clunky hands, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of if she can really get the job done kind of in first cycle.
I agree with that. And I'm okay with her being here in B. I probably would have her like B minus, but either way in B, that's fine with me. Here's my hot take. Now, this is coming from not like a ton of Kasai reps, and again, the set isn't even officially released as we're recording this. So all of this is Talishar reps, right? I think Hatchet Dory can just do it better.
Yeah.
I think that she requires a lot to make her work, and I think the payoff is not quite there. Where I think if you wanted to play that playstyle, playing the hatchets and getting those turns, like you get better specialization cards. Steel Blade Supremacy is a great specialization that you can just get off, like spill blood and get your axis dominate, draw. You can have just this explosive turn. She does have her specialization as far as Kasai. She has what buy an army or something like that. I don't know.
And blood on her hands, yeah.
Oh, she does have blood on her hands. Blood on her hands is very good. I actually still think you do play that. I've been seeing you still make a ton of copper with her, oddly enough. So that I think is still very good. I think she holds that over Dory, but like the buying the army one, I have never seen an opponent. I played a lot against Kasai, and I played some Kasai. I've never had or seen an opponent have more than 2 gold at any time, and I think it's hard to really keep those stashed.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's kind of the card you lean on to make her good. And I will say, to your point, I think that she has the word yellow printed on her card. And I think that Prism's really the only thing that's kind of broken away of if a class forces you to play yellows to make the deck work, you're just playing a less efficient thing than other classes where they can just get away with running nothing but blues and reds.
Yes.
So the fact that she doesn't have something broken like Spectra or Phantasm, but she still has to run these yellows, I think that little bit of inefficiency is just going to kind of incrementally kind of tick her down a little bit. But I do think her text box is strong otherwise. The whole nourishing trick you can do is very cool.
That is cool. She does have that over Dory.
That's very sweet. So that is kind of her late game way to finish. So yeah, we'll see. But I think that's reasonable. I agree that Dory's better.
Okay, I got I don't even know if this is a hot take. I feel like if anything, I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. But I honestly think Kyle or KO, however, I don't know how you say it. But either way, I think this guy is gonna be right here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as popularity, he might even be up here as far as popularity. I think initially this to me feels like the days of 5, where you're going to see an aggro deck immediately hit the scene and have success. Maybe later down the line, he gets like over here, but to me this is where he's going to be in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I could see it. I see it more as maybe in the middle of A tier. Yeah. Okay. You're right that in terms of popularity, maybe he'll be right up there with the best of them. But I agree. I think I keep on talking about these aggro decks. He's kind of like an aggro deck that, he's a brute that actually kind of goes wide. Or can at least like maximize 4 cards worth of value a lot better than other brutes can. Yeah. You really had a finite number of cards that facilitated these really big turns from these previous brute decks, and it always kind of felt like barely not enough. But I mean, these cards that discard themselves and he makes them 6 powers, and they create 2 tokens. Then if you do it on your turn, the might and the agility or something, like those cards are very strong blues.
They actually are. It's weird.
yeah, and they're very cool too. I think he's fun. I think he's fun to play against. I think he's fun to play with. So he'll be popular, and I think he's good enough to actually see a lot of play.
Cool. Yeah. I think out of all the heavy hitters heroes, this is the guy that's to put your money on to like have the most success. Kasai would probably be the second. But yeah, we'll get into the other ones. Okay, so Levia, I feel is in B, maybe high B. I know a lot of people think A, but I don't even see it. Like, I think she's not bad or at any cost. I think that you can put her there.
I like there.
Yeah, but yeah, I just don't think that she's going to do like anything that these guys are doing. I guess, you know, it just doesn't feel as great.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have much to say. I think that she got probably some lateral cards printed where you can do some different things with her with the new cards. But I think the core of what she does is pretty unchanged. And if it wasn't good enough for last format, I don't think it will be for this one.
I'd agree. Okay. All right. So Olympia. Again, here's the order. So I'm just going to default it to you real fast. I know it's not Dory.
I don't know anything about him. I'm actually just Dory guy. I'm not even a warrior guy. I'm just pretending over here. I don't know. I don't see anything special in him. Nothing drawing me to him. So in terms of my interest, it's C. In terms of his playability, maybe it's B. But I just don't see it right now.
Well, there's a build going out there, and I think there's some legitimacy to this build. I'll make a case for Olympia. I think it's C. Yeah. Maybe he can work his way up here, but I don't think he's gonna get past that. But the Merciless Battle Axe, and if you are able to give that, you know, like a +3 in wager, that's a hard card to block, especially because it's the axe. So you're gonna win your wagers a lot. You're gonna get a lot of gold, and then in the end game, it's a battle axe deck, so it's like, you know, you're just blocking a lot. In the end game, when you have like 4 gold and nothing but blues in your hand, you just, you know, pitch, get a ton of resources just out there for you, and then you have up the ante, you have overpower, you just have so much stuff to just close out the game. So I think if Olympia is to get any success, I believe it's probably with that axe more than anything else.
I agree. I think that is going to be the direction you go if you do choose to play him. I think my counterpoint to the fact that the axe is a really good it's a really good weapon to use alongside wager.
Okay.
My counter to that is that so far I feel like the cards that say wager on them, they're not like if they said just do this thing always, not just when you wager, but just do this thing always, I think they'd be strong CC cards.
Sure.
I don't even think if they were designed that way that they're even some of the best things to be doing. And so it's like sure, it kind of works together well, but I just don't think that the wager cards are powerful enough to warrant it over other things. But again, I mean, just so little information.
Sure.
I'm coming from here, so prove me wrong, somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of fair to say. I didn't even think about, like, if you just took wager out and it just had that ability, it's like, would that even still make it good enough? That's a very good take, actually. I think the one that will make you agility is probably good enough, right?
Well, agility is just, I mean, one of these things is not like the other when it comes to tokens. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's kind of like the blood rod of this set, where it's just like, I don't know. I mean, the other tokens are very clearly worth 1 value, and you can make them situationally worth more, I suppose. But I mean, Go Again historically is kind of worth around 2 value. Well, I mean, I think I agree. It's somewhere in like the 2 to 3 range.
Yeah.
We were having this discussion on my team, and people were arguing closer to 2 than 3. I think the kind of hands that just an agility token unlocks for you can sometimes unlock 3+ damage. You know,
Sure.
On the balance, I think it's somewhere around 2 to 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, it's like better than the other tokens.
Yeah.
But it seems to be valued at the same rate in the design of the set.
So, I agree with that. It's interesting.
It's kind of like Ponders in that way. Ponders were kind of rated the same as all the other tokens, but clearly they're way better.
So yeah, for sure. Okay, we got Prism. I kind of think this might be her time.
Yeah.
I kind of think she could even be up here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's here
Yeah.
to be honest. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. I think early on she's going to be up there.
Okay.
I think, again, I'm not illusionist guy,
Yeah.
and I at least know how to play my deck into illusionist. I don't just go in blind,
That's
but I
good.
haven't gotten there yet. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't done that testing yet, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I get the sense that that once people get more reps and learn how to like both build for her and also play into her, that her stock's going to start to go down.
Okay.
But I think early on, I think she'll catch a lot of people just underprepared for the matchup. Um, she just doesn't have the same kind of engine that the old Prism did. I mean, first of all, eight life less is a lot. I
Yeah.
think the old Prism would have been great at 32 life. You know,
Right. Right.
yeah. This, and I'm glad they learned their lesson. I think hopefully in the future illusionists they get a little bit less life. I like that. I think it's earned. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, I mean, being able to just go incredibly wide with the old Prism, the old Luminaris was just so ridiculous.
Definitely.
This new one, I'm happy they have a good weapon. I'm not
Right.
unhappy about that at all. And I hope that she is good because there's a lot of players who want her to be. So I want it for them,
Yeah.
even if I'm not a big fan. But I just get the sense, my gut feeling is that people will get better into her and her stock will go down.
So maybe here now, give it 2 big events, and we might even see her like here, maybe even here if she's really figured out. I don't think she'll go down as far as like Dash IO. I think she'll have legitimacy, but
you just can't play optimally into her if you don't have reps. I don't believe.
I
And
100%
so,
agree with that. Yeah.
however well she does at the start, assuming there are pilots that are able to pilot her to her best abilities, and that they aren't just getting better as people are getting better into her. At the start, however well she does, I think she will go down because of that. But we'll see.
That's fair. All right. Next up is Reinar. Shirley has gotten some things, but I don't know. I don't have much opinion. Like, how much beat chess do you even run in Reinar? I'm not sure. To me, he feels like B, but what's your take?
I'd probably put him low A.
Low
he's
A.
he's a meta call hero.
Okay.
But I just think that
B+.
regardless of the new things, the new tools he has, and he does have some good new tools. But even if you just kind of put that to the side, I think that his hero power and what he is for the format seems to be relatively well positioned for what you see as kind of the top meta game. A lot of these heroes that are maybe a little bit more mid-rangey, a little bit more controlling, Intimidate is historically quite strong into that. So I think he might be good, not because he is one of the most powerful things, but just because he is just well suited to contest some of like the best things going on in the format.
I mean, if we truly think this is accurate, then like that's a favorable matchup 3 ways around.
Yeah.
So it's like, I gotta give him respect on that. I think you're right.
His matchup spread is just everywhere though. So
It
has
really
to be the right
is.
tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because I guess these could go either way. I'd probably give it to KO a little bit there, but I think aggro deck's good into him. But I mean, all right, moving on to Riptide. Riptide got a new card, Real In, to get traps. But there is a value tide going around where they're just playing like Wounded Bull and just like straight value cards. And I wonder if we see down but not out being played in this deck, and if it's gonna, because it blocks for 3. It's essentially, it could be a 3 for 8 with all the on hits. As far as like the tokens, well, Riptide gives you tokens with like Intoxicating Shot and whatnot, so I think it could be actually viable. I don't think that makes Riptide great. I'll give him C+, but I don't know.
I'm willing to give him the very last B.
Okay.
No matter what other Bs we add, I'm down to give him the very last B. If for no other reason than to just encourage your audience to... I have this feeling that if somebody really picked him up, really worked on the list, really worked on his matchups, I bet they could do well in a tournament with him. I think I think he's powerful enough that he can do that.
Hmm.
And he has a pretty big card pool, very versatile in how you can build him. And I do think that his pile of D-reacts might be strong in this format. So, yeah, I say give him a chance.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. All right. I'm fine
Yeah,
with that. I'm fine with that.
yeah,
You know, I got a buddy who's a Riptide lover. I'm okay with
yeah,
that.
yeah. I believe. I believe. Not enough for me to do it, but I believe in you to do it.
For sure, for sure. You know what? This is kind of where I was gonna put Teklovas in here. Like, I don't think Teklovas is like A tier or S tier by any means, but you know, if the format gets pretty like tanky and it gets like we're just using like one of big attacks and whatnot, well, like this is a great hero into that.
Yeah.
So I like it for that. You will lose to Kano every single time, and probably lose to Illusionist as well. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you got a favorite
I mean,
matchup in
Dromai,
there.
Prism, and Kano are all basically auto losses, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I think he might have a few too many auto losses, and maybe this is just like completely unfair that I'm giving Riptide the benefit of the doubt and not Teklo. Um, but I just feel like he needs
So
he
you like
needs
them
some.
down here?
I would probably put him there. I
Yeah.
can't even really articulate why I want to give Riptide a chance and not him, to be honest. Um, I really can't tell you, but that's where my heart is.
You know
But
what?
you put him where you want.
No, I'm okay with this as long as Olympia. Olympia is kind of I'm an Olympia apologist right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
this works for me.
And I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, in terms of like giving people an idea of what heroes to try, I mean, like if you're drawn to Olympia, try him, right? Because he's
Oh
all
yeah,
new. Like, who,
yeah.
who knows? If
Be
everyone
that
just
guy.
relegates him to kitchen table right away, then like no one's ever gonna know. Maybe he's
Right.
broken. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. This is
really
coming from me
explore.
and you, who are scared to play these heroes. You know, we're not brave
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, exactly. It is a lack of bravery. That is the issue.
All right. Okay, Uzuri. Talk about a hero that was somewhere in the meta and has really fallen off. Can she get back in with this meta? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I have the drip drop Dano bias here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Or Dando bias, I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
So Sam Dando is he's associated with Midmax. He kind of wades in and out of being one of our team members. He's just not trying to compete at that level, but he's in our Discord and he chats a lot. He's actually one of the most active these days, and
Another
he's
good
always
match player.
playing Azuri to really solid results.
Okay.
So I believe in Azuri. I think this meta doesn't look very good for her. I'd probably
Mhm.
put her somewhere in the middle of B fringe area.
Yeah, probably put her here. I feel okay
Yeah, I
with
think that's
that.
totally reasonable. I mean, yeah. I agree. I think that's a pretty good spot for her. I think she's totally reasonable, but
Yeah.
has some problems.
Yeah, I wonder, like, what's your good matchups now? Like, where is she feeling great? It was Lexi for sure, but, like, I guess Azalea?
Yeah.
Probably Azalea.
Yeah. I think,
Maybe.
excuse me. I think as long as oh, it's tough to say. I mean, she Codex of Frailty is still one of the best cards in the
Definitely.
game,
Definitely.
and so she's kind of the best wielder of that card right now. So you get a lot of
Azalea wants to
points
work
just
with you for
for doing
that,
that.
but,
Yeah. Oh well, I'm sorry. Yeah, besides Azalea, obviously, you're right there. I don't know her matchup spread well enough to say, but I just know that I've been impressed with how Sam's been able to make her work in a variety of formats. Even though her card pool isn't that big, I think the way you pilot her matters a lot, and I
Yeah,
think she's pretty adaptable in how you pilot her.
definitely. Definitely. I think even Redline has already got something from this. I think you could play that card that gets stronger on defense or aggressive by syncing your arsenal. I think that's
Oh, that
pretty,
card's cool. I
yeah,
like that
that's
card.
pretty viable.
Yeah,
So
I like
I'm
that.
kind of curious overall with that card. How many it's everyone can agree that's just a good card, but I'm kind of curious like how many decks will pick up that card. I don't, like
Yeah.
Briar would have picked it up instantly, but it's kind of weird to think like what card that fits in. Anyways,
Yeah. I agree. It's a little innocuous, and it's the kind of card that you just when you're building a deck at the start, you don't really think of it. It's really in like the late stages of tuning it. When you go back to the well and you see what tools are available, you start looking at these powerful generics, and you're like, well, maybe that, and then you find a home somehow. But I think it's hard to find the right home, like you say.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, let's get into our last unknown. We got the Victor Goldmane. I know TCG Bagel just put out a list, which people are pretty hyped for. For me, it's not Bravo. So, like,
Yeah, I have the same problem. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think he's here. I think you can definitely play him with success. I don't really know where to put him here though.
I think he's got. I think his whole hero text. It's doing different things. You know, when we were comparing Betsy to Bravo, you can make some direct correlations between those two hero powers, and they're pretty close in a lot of ways. And so then if it's not the hero power that's doing something different, then you're looking at the card pool and you're like, okay, Betsy doesn't even have a good specialization. So like, what are we doing here? I think that Victor has a stronger specialization. I think that card's quite strong.
Yeah.
Being able to 10 overpower to close games out. And it's a yellow, right? So like you can even it's easy to pitch for second cycle. And just his whole engine in his hero text it's very different than Bravo, which means that he's doing something different that you can actually say you can justify him as a pick basically. I have heard people have had success. I have no idea where he's going to fall, but I mean, I think he should be somewhere kind of in the middle, and we'll find out. You know?
Yeah, I think so. I'm okay like putting him like here in the middle of B, but he kind of feels like to me Oldham when Oldham lost his Icy Hammer, and so Oldham kind of just became a value town deck.
Yeah.
And if that becomes the case, then just experience with this. I mean, Oldham at the time was like S tier, even as a value town deck. So, with that potential, it could definitely work. It's just as far as like maximizing his ability, like he doesn't have the Crown of Seeds, right? He doesn't have like these other stuff. I mean, I guess he lost that too, but anyways, the gold mechanic seems a little and far between for him to capitalize on that. And so I think you're just playing like a defensive guardian that will every now and then capitalize. And I guess if you play Value Town, maybe that's good enough. But I don't know. What deters me is the specializations. Like he does have a good specialization, absolutely. It's just I get to play Crippling and Star Trek, where I only get to play what was it, Golden Sun.
If there's any benefit that he has over Bravo, insofar as I can see right now, which is limited, I think it's that he's a little bit more lean. His power isn't in those 7 cost threats. The gold generation lets you have some pretty efficient low to the ground turns. I think you can maybe block a little bit more and still do a little bit more. Whereas Bravo, it's kind of a choice between do I do something big or do I block big. So I think he might have a little bit of efficiency there, kind of more low to the ground. That's just kind of like a sense I have, though. Something to explore.
No, yeah, I think that's pretty legit. I mean, he does have his own shield, too, which is like another free block that he can utilize as well. So that's kind of cool as well. So, yeah, we'll see. It, like I said, wouldn't be surprised if he gets up here. Okay, we got 2 more Rune Blades. All right, so this was the hero that I literally put this category for.
Oh, really?
I mean, look, like, you should play it. If you like Viceroy, you should play it. But if you want to play Viceroy and, like, win, it's hard.
Oh, the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, the mighty have fallen. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Talk me out of putting him here.
No, I mean, I don't want to... I don't think he's F.
Okay.
I think that's unfair.
Okay.
I would put him in Fringe personally.
Oh, wow.
If for no other reason than I think the format could potentially get slow enough that his OTK strategy can really get there.
I mean, look, that would be cool. I'd be all about it. I just don't think he's gonna allow it. I don't think he's gonna allow it. He's not gonna allow it. She's probably not gonna allow it.
C is fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna advocate for not F, but the C is fine. Let me just say real quick.
Okay.
I need Rune Blades to be better in this game. I feel like Rune Blades is part of the identity of Flesh and Blood to me. You know, is really important for the early stages of this game. I get that people got sick of some of the strong Rune Blades, but they've just, like, ever since Everfest, they've just printed nothing and have only taken action against Rune Blades. Yeah. It's getting crazy to me how bad they are. Yeah, give Rune Blades some love, please.
Yeah,
please.
clearly. It's so weird because, you know, you got one, you got two here, but yeah, you know what? I actually thought Briar was awesome. You know, like even past the bannings, I was like, that felt like she was always like here, which is like, that's where you want. That's where you want at least one class to be. Is right here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, our last Rune Blade, our last hero. We got Vincent. Somebody won their
at the top
Pro
of
Quest.
C.
At the top of C. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm not even gonna argue.
just make a nice little Rune Blade sandwich in the.
Hey,
C,
yeah,
you know?
there we go.
You know, 2 slices of Rune Blade to mush together all the other unplayable heroes.
Yeah.
Friend of the team, Kevin. He plays Vincent, and he's awesome. And he makes the deck look much better than I think it really is. And yeah, I think there's I think when you have to banish a card from your hand as a cost, you lose a lot of flexibility. So it's the kind of hero that I look at and I'm just not interested, because when you're building him, you're looking at how do I optimize this engine. And I always want flexibility in my deck, so not for me, but very cool hero. I hope he gets more support, or she gets more support.
Yeah,
it's she, right?
Yep, she. Yeah.
Maiden, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. I like the concept of it, and yeah, it feels like she's gonna get some expansion slot supports in the future for sure. So.
Yeah.
And who knows where we even go next? Maybe we do get the Rune Blade back. You know. There's talks of a all arcane set, or you know.
I'm excited for that. We need some more arcane, man. We need some wizards. We need some good Rune Blades.
Like another wizard. I don't want to play Kano. I love Dicelander. Give me another wizard so I don't have to play the Kano. And then get some Rune Blades so we can get them back up here. I'm with it.
Wizard sounds like a nightmare to design. Like that sounds so difficult to design. Something, but they really nailed it with Icelander. It's one of my favorite heroes they've ever made. Even if I didn't play her a lot, I loved what she did for the game and for the metas that she was a part of.
Yeah.
So yeah, give us a little bit more arcane. We need a little bit of different tension in the game right now. There's just a little bit too much of just kind of value town, add the numbers up. You know,
That's
give us some
point.
different tension. Yeah.
I'm with you.
We need a little extra tension.
Yeah, and I heard what you said. I didn't miss that. I would like a little bit more ice. Bring ice back. I would love that.
Oh my god, please. That's like the reason I fell in love with Flesh and Blood, to be honest, is ice heroes. I saw the spoilers for Tales of Aria, and I was like, both Lexi and Oldham, like those are my heroes, and they were throughout all of their existence. I need it. Feed me ice.
I'm with you. All right, there is the tier list.
Perfect.
Yeah, it does this little curve here. We don't even have. You should play every hero. Look at that.
I shamed you into not letting us put anything in the F tier. Every hero is at least kitchen table viable.
Yes.
Even Viscerai.
Yes, even Viscerai. Yeah, I'm feeling good about this. We'll see how this turns out. But either way, I appreciate you coming and hanging out and doing this way too early tier list with me. And, bickering about where heroes go. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope this is going to cause some controversies, and you guys will let me know. But I hope we nailed it at the same time. So thanks for watching. Keep on fabbing, and I'll catch you on the next one.